Hey everyone, it's Todd the Cybertruck truck guy, and today I'm going to explain to you how the Cybertruck is going to thrash every other off-road competitor when it comes to range in the backcountry, overlanding, and off-roading. The reason I'm doing this video is I posted my reaction video to the Bronco video, and the one comment that came up multiple times is about, well, Cybertruck might be great off-road, but it's not going to have the range. Range. I'm so tired of this. I've been wanting to make this video. Finally, I got so irritated, I just did it. So you see here on the screen one of my classic spreadsheets that I love to do. And I want to explain why the Cybertruck range isn't going to be an issue if you're worried about it. So I want to It starts off by not talking about battery, but by talking about payload. Okay, now I'll explain why in a second. So the reason why Cybertruck is going to be so amazing as an off-road adventure and overlanding vehicle is because its payload capacity. So I put up here are other popular, I would call them similarly capable off-road vehicles to what the Cybertruck dual motor will be able to do from a technical ability in terms of clearance, angle of departure, angle of breakover angle, the independent suspension, tire sizes. I've talked about all this stuff before. It's going to be in a league similar to the Tundra TRD Pro or the Jeep Gladiator, and certainly the advantage that the new Bronco and the Wrangler have is that with the smaller wheelbases, and they're a little narrower, so there are some technical environments where those vehicles will do better. But here's my point. 95% of off-roading is on stuff that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, but you could do it with a truck or you could do it with a Jeep. The only time that really tight, that short wheelbase comes into play with the Cybertruck, because its additional clearance will mean it will match the breakover angle of the Bronco and the Wrangler, but will be its turning radius in really tight corners and its ability to go through very narrow chutes. Everyone keeps bringing it up. Yes, of course. Yes, those things, that's real. But most people, most of the time, that's not what they're doing off-roading. If you're into extreme off-roading, yeah, there will be better vehicles to do rock crawling or extreme off-roading than the Cybertruck. But for the vast majority of people that are going to take this off-roading, overlanding, going on like over through like the Rocky Mountains, not through the real hard trails, but on forest roads and on not great maintained forest roads, but not real gnarly rock crawling stuff, the Cybertruck is going to kick everyone's ass. And this is why. Payload capacity. Okay, so let me explain. This is the difference. So here is all those other vehicles' payload capacities. They're dwarfed. I mean, the Cybertruck has volumes of excess payload capacity. So if you can figure out how to go overlanding with a Gladiator or overlanding with a Tundra with 1,600 pounds of payload capacity, then you can figure out how to get 1,600 pounds of payload capacity into the Cybertruck while addressing the range question. So how do we do it? Well, let me show you right here. So I'm going to link to both these videos in the notes, but two videos. This one is through the Fast Lane, which, by the way, if you guys think the Fast Lane is a Tesla hater, they just released a video on why they said the Tesla Model Y is the best car of the year of 2020. So, you know, just to bring some balance. They did this video. So this is about charging your Tesla with a generator. So they originally tried doing it with a small generator, but then they went and got a big 7,000 watt generator. And when they got it, they didn't even max it out in this video. I don't know why they didn't max it out to the point where it stalled, but they got it up to the point where it was doing 14-mile-an-hour charging, and it was running, it was handling it 14-mile-an-hour charging, which is basically the level of a 220 or 240. I always get them mixed up, but whatever you would do at home charging, not wall charging, but with a Tesla home charger. So it gives you in that range, 14 to 16 miles per hour. This guy used this. I'm going to show you the generator here in a second. Okay. To all you purists who say you would never use a generator to charge your Tesla, listen to what my point is. People are justifying going out and buying ICE vehicles because, and keep in mind how much of the time you're going to need to do this 1% of, so 99% of the time you drive your Cybertruck, you're going to be running off of grid electricity. But to shut up the people that keep saying the Cybertruck's limitation is its range, and to actually get people who are worried about the Cybertruck's range to look at the actual math and see what you can do with 3,500 pounds of payload capacity in order to charge your Tesla up off grid, I need to use a generator. Solar panels, they won't do it. I got to use a generator. Got to use fossil fuels. So you'll just have to pinch your nose. If you say you're such a purist that you're just not willing to use your Tesla in a situation where you might run out of juice, fine, don't do it. But if you want to go overlanding, you want to go 300, 400, 500 miles over rough terrain, you have to address this question. And ICE vehicles can do it. And I'm here to show you the Cybertruck can crush the ICE vehicles because of that 3,500 pounds of payload capacity. Okay, so this guy, sadly, he only has 1,500 views. Hopefully after this video, he'll get some more views. He used this generator right here. Okay, let's see. It's this Champion generator. He goes through, he explains the adapter that he got. I messed up my math here. So his math with his generator, so he ran his off natural gas, but it's the same as propane. And you can use gas, but I'm going to explain why I want to use propane. So he used propane, or he used natural gas. It has about the same thermal density as propane. They're really close. So he also got about 15, he got in 2 hours of charging, he got 31 miles. And so we realized this is a Model 3, Model 3. And I think the fast lane was either a Model 3 or Model Y. But either case, I'm knocking that number down by like 25% for the Cybertruck because we're assuming it's going to be bigger, it's going to take more energy. So instead of being able to charge at 15 miles per hour, I'm going to say that we can charge at 12 per hour because we need to put more energy into the Cybertruck. My point is, I'm linking to these videos. This can be done. You can put in, again. So here's the thing. When you're overlanding, you're not driving 300 and 400 miles a day. You usually have combinations of technical terrain and wide open terrain. You're almost never going faster than 50 miles an hour. Most of the time, you average something like 25 to 45 miles an hour. You typically, if you're taking breaks and you're, usually you want to get out, you want to look at waterfalls, you want to look at the flowers, you want to look at the creeks, you want to take a break, you want to grab a nice lunch. You're not just going hell's bells the whole day long. And so you're usually doing something like 180 to 240 miles or less. If you're in real tricky stuff, it's less. So keep that in mind. You're not, that's what you're doing when you're going all day off-roading. So I just have to explain this because if you haven't done this, you're like, oh, it's only got 300 miles of range. Yeah, you're not going to use 300 miles. You're not even going to use 250. Maybe you could. suppose you could use 250, but I'll address that. All right, so that's the generator. Here is the generator. Home Depot, this same generator, $979. Okay, so let's go scenario number one. So keep in mind, we have anywhere from 1,800 to 2,300 pounds before we start tapping into the same payload of the other vehicles. So that's extreme, but I just want to show you this. Okay, scenario number one. We're going to go cheap and convenient. We're going to be right on the edge. We have 300 miles of range in our Cybertruck, and we're just going overnight, and we might be on the edge, so we just want to have some insurance. Okay, you buy the generator, $1,000. How much does that weigh? 210 pounds. That would be a pain in the butt unless you had a truck that could lower the back and had an integrated ramp. You can pull that sucker right up. No big deal. Now, why do I want to use propane instead of gas? Because I want to sleep in my bed. I want to sleep in the bed of my Cybertruck. I don't want gas. I don't want gas fumes. I don't want the mess. I don't want all that hassle. I want something that is, if I don't use it this time, I can set it off to the side, and the next time I go, it's there and it's available. Propane, perfect. Propane is airtight. You're not going to have a problem with it smelling. And when you go to actually use it, you can take the propane tanks out, set them outside of the truck in order to run the generator. Yes, I realize it's going to take you like 10 minutes to pull the generator out, pull the tanks out. What a big deal. Okay, but if you haven't been overlanding, if you haven't been camping, 10 to 15 minutes, oh, that's you're lucky. I mean, because otherwise you got to set up a tent and do all this other stuff. You don't want to do that with a Cybertruck. Pull your shit out. Your bed's ready to go. Air up your mattress. Boom. Bob's your uncle. You're good to go. So, okay. So in regular grill, you know, your grill propane tanks, those hold about 4 gallons of propane. Those are about $20 when you exchange them. If you buy them and you don't exchange a tank, they're like $40. Okay. They hold 4 gallons. That's empty. They're 17 pounds. So we're going to get 4 of them. 4 of those little cylinders. We're going to throw them in the back of the truck. Okay, that's $80. Now, that comes with the fuel, so we don't have to pay anything for the fuel, but we do have to account for the weight. So 4 gallons, a gallon is, 4.24 pounds of propane. So you're going to have another, well, so just the tanks are going to be about 17 pounds a piece, and the fuel is about, they say 14 to 18 pounds of fuel per tank. So you're going to have a total with this setup of 345 pounds. Okay, 345 pounds. That's what you're adding. So of the excess of 2,000 pounds to compete before you start cutting, before you start having less payload than they do, you're gonna do this. And what are you gonna get? You're gonna get about 192 miles of range. For most people, that's gonna be it. That's all you need. You're not gonna be out there for multiple nights going long distances. But okay, let's say you are. Let's say you're more hardcore. Okay, now same generator, but now we're gonna go get these Manchester. Let me show you. You're going to get these guys. A little heavier, a little bigger. You can still move them around. You better be in shape if you're pulling these in and out of your vehicle. But again, this is like if you're hardcore overlander, right? So I'm just wanting to demonstrate a point. You might have to put these like off to the side and not pull them out and deal with them being in the cab of the Cybertruck. But again, it's all about compromises, right? You still have plenty of payload, you still have plenty of places to put your gear. But now you've got, you're bumping it up a little bit here. So your generator is obviously the same, but now you're talking about more money because you got to buy these tanks and then you got to buy the fuel, and then more, you're carrying like 2.5 times the fuel capacity now. So you got 4 of these tanks, and they're going to weigh full like 80 pounds. Okay. So, I mean, I could get them out. I think most fit people could get them out, especially if you're dragging them, you know, but you're not going to want to pull them in and out every night, right? So this is a little harder core, but you've got 547 miles of range. That's like long days going out for 3 and 4 days at a time. All right, now, just to make a point, scenario 3, this is batshit crazy, okay? But I just want to illustrate the point. In order to use up, so remember I said that for the vehicles with the most payload, off-road capable vehicles with the most payload capacity are the Toyota Tundra and the Jeep Gladiator. So both of those, the difference between the Cybertruck and them is about 1,900. So you could put 1,900 pounds in your vehicle and still have the same payload capacity of these others. Now, granted, I'm sure it's going to be cramped and you're going to have, you know, I'm not recommending this, but I'm doing this to make a point. My point is the Cybertruck can do it. If you can figure out how to stack and organize your gear, the Cybertruck can handle this and still go off-road, still go overlanding. So what was that? Okay, crazy time. 18 of those tanks. You'll probably fill the whole bed with tanks. You have to put like a piece of plywood on top to put gear or something. It's crazy. I realize that. But you could do it. You could actually have 2,500 miles of range with your Cybertruck and still pack all the same gear that you could pack. And you're like, no, there's no way you could pack it. The bed would all be used up. No, you can leave the tonneau cover open. You can mount shit up. You can get a rack for the top of it and put stuff on the top of the Cybertruck. You got the whole back seat. You can cram all kinds of stuff in that back seat. Not at all. I guarantee you, you could do this and still overland just fine. And you could go 2/3 of the way across the United States with the Cybertruck. Freaking try that with any of the other vehicles. My point is that I'm tired of hearing people say, get worried about, look at the cost of this. $1,200. $1,200 gives you an extra 192 miles of range in your Cybertruck. $1,800 gives you an extra 500 miles of range. And you still, so that's 570 pounds. You can still put 1,200 pounds more stuff in your Cybertruck than the person who has any of the off-road capable vehicles. So I am just saying, nobody is talking about the Cybertruck's payload in reference to its overland off-roading capability. And it is a game changer. And so I'm tired of hearing about range. You can easily solve it with a very cheap feature. And all you got to do, so I was going to say, let's say that you do want to go 250 or 300 miles with your Cybertruck and you're going to exhaust it. Hey, guess what? At 12 to 14 miles an hour, you pull over for lunch, you plug it in, you charge up for an hour. Not, hour, 90 minutes. That gives you an extra 20 miles. Then for dinner, you pull over, you charge it again. You get another 20 or 30 miles then. And you're good to go. You can do your 300-mile day with your 300-mile range Cybertruck. You just have to build some time in to recharge. So do you have to do that with the other ones? No, you don't. If you're saying, I need to buy the ICE vehicle because once every 4 years, when I do a 2-week overland expedition, I have to spend an extra 2 hours a day charging. Okay, well then I guess that's your reason. But I don't know who that is. I don't know anybody that does this that wouldn't accommodate for the trade-offs that you get for the Cybertruck as far as its cost of ownership, its fuel cost, its comforts, its capability, its ability to produce money. I mean, Jesus Christ, I don't even know. I just got so sick of hearing this argument that I needed to explain it. So I'm going to link to the videos. I'll link to all the other stuff. I'll put PDFs of these spreadsheets links to those too, so that if you're interested, you can look at this stuff. All right. We're still doing the live stream tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. I don't know. I'll send out an agenda tomorrow. Last one was short. This one might be short too, but I like doing them regularly, so people seem to like it, checking in and all that other stuff. Also, subscribe if you like the channel. Anyway, that's it. Thanks.